want to say something to the Supreme Court, you basically have to come to their front door.
You don't care if people die. Pro-life is a lie. You don't care if people die.
It's not like this is a surprise, but it still really hurts to see it like laid out in black and white that this is going to happen.
I thought we had settled this. I thought this matter had been settled, and that we could continue to enjoy reproductive freedom, that we wouldn't have to be doing this again.
My name is Kimberly Mohabir, and I am an abortion provider.
Demonstrations are taking place here in Southern California and across the country in reaction to news that the Supreme Court may overturn federal abortion rights protections.
So it's not a final decision yet, although if Roe versus Wade is overturned, abortion would still be legal in California, but 25 states would likely ban abortion. 13 of them have trigger laws, meaning it'll be immediately outlawed. While the decision on abortion rights has been widely expected by the conservative leading court, the magnitude and nature of the leak itself is another massive story.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Happy Friday. At a press conference back on March 24th of this year, Joe Biden announced that thanks to the regime change war he's decided to voluntarily wage in Eastern Europe, our country, the United States, will soon face food shortages. Food shortages are, quote, gonna be real, Biden said. Now, the reporters in the room dutifully transcribed the words and wrote their stories, but you may have missed it. You may not have even heard this because there weren't a lot of follow-up pieces about these man-made food shortages that Joe Biden was predicting. And that's weird if you think about it, because food shortages are inherently a big deal. You could argue they're even more significant than, say, a slap fight between actors at an awards ceremony. Food shortages are historic events. They overturn societies. They bring down empires. They often have. If you've got food shortages, you've got a potentially destabilizing problem on your hands. And now we do have food shortages. They're real, as Joe Biden predicted. As of tonight, at least 26 states are reporting that half their retail stores are completely out of baby formula. That would include the states of Texas, Tennessee, Missouri, and Iowa, and many others. So these are major population centers without enough food for newborns. In Memphis and Nashville, 52% of stores have no baby formula. Houston and Des Moines are reporting similar shortages. In San Antonio, a city with an unusually high percentage of families with small children, 57% of all stores in the city have no baby formula. Those are the numbers. Journalist Savannah Hernandez went to see for herself what the reality looks like. She went to 8 different stores in Texas, and not a single one of them had any baby formula to sell. Watch.
We talked to a couple moms outside who said that they've been having a really hard time finding formula, and so this is what we're seeing right now. The second Target that we've been to, we first went to a Target in Louisville, and now we're in Frisco, and as you guys can see, it's pretty much the exact same thing here. Grocery stores pretty much empty, no formula to be found. I've talked to a couple moms who were telling me that people have spent upwards of $150 on formula on Amazon. Some moms can't even find the formula that their baby requires. One mother telling me her child was constipated, needed a specific type of formula, couldn't find it, so that's what's going on.
So that's real. You may not like Savannah Hernandez's politics, but she's got a video camera inside Target, and they don't have any baby formula. So babies need to eat, but they can't. Is that a big problem? Well, yes, it's a big problem. How big? We have a lot of problems right now. Ask yourself, is this a bigger problem than, say, using the wrong pronoun or Trump voters peacefully trespassing in a public building? It seems like a bigger problem than that. So you would think the Biden administration would do something about it, and they certainly could if they wanted to. They can do anything. These are the people who claim to have the power to control global weather systems, the power to bend human biology to their will. So nothing is beyond the scope of their powers. And yet in this particular case, Joe Biden is in no hurry to fix the problem. In fact, he joked about it today. Watch.
If we'd been better mind readers, I guess we could have, but we moved as quickly as the problem became apparent to us.
Oh, if we'd been better mind readers. Get it? It's hilarious because actually nobody can read minds. Joe Biden's being sarcastic like your 14-year-old daughter. Lay off, Dad, it's not my fault. Okay, so Joe Biden does not read minds, but the question is, does anyone in the White House read newspapers or watch television news? Supplies of baby formula were down at least 20% as far back as January. That was not hidden knowledge, it was public knowledge. It was out there, if you were looking. Here's one representative headline from the Fox affiliate in West Virginia, WVNS, back in February. Quote, what the baby formula shortage means for parents. There you have it. Americans were worried about not having enough baby formula. There was a shortage in February. But the White House wasn't concerned. And they knew. We know that for certain because Brian Deese, who's the director of the White House Economic Council, just admitted that he knew on CNN. Quote, we were aware back in February, and we've had a team on this from the FDA and interagency process since then. Okay, so Joe Biden has been on this problem since February. So why is it still a problem? Why is it still impossible to buy baby formula in stores in San Antonio tonight? Well, the White House has an answer for that too, and the answer is greedy mothers. They're the problem. Like kulaks hiding grain, counter-revolutionary moms in this country are undermining America's baby formula supply. They're, quote, hoarding baby formula. Watch Joe Biden's flack explain.
But if you are a parent who's looking for formula right now, struggling to find what you need, do you have even a rough guess of how long these shortages are going to last? What should parents be bracing for here?
Well, we've already seen an increase in supply over the past couple of weeks. What we are seeing, which is an enormous problem, is hoarding. People hoarding because they're fearful. That is one element of it, and people hoarding because they are trying to profit off of fearful parents.
Oh, now we're down to Zimbabwean economics. We don't have enough to eat because greedy people are hoarding it. It's your fault, America's moms, you and your piggish little babies, always thoughtlessly eating. Show some patriotic restraint and stop buying so much food for your kids, you greedy wreckers.
Is expected to get even more expensive, and one local farmer says we may soon be facing more serious food shortages. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pat Paris.
And I'm Heidi Laga. 9 on Your Sign's Brian Brennan looked into the farm industry's rising costs.
There are all sorts of contributing factors that can lead to rising costs for food items, even food shortages. One thing that could cause a major ripple effect, the price of corn. A farmer in a field may look like a charming scene, but they have to worry about budgets like any other business owner.
This year, I've already exceeded last year's budget for fertilizer.
Farmer and Marana Town Councilman John Pose says his costs have gone up across the board. So even though he is selling wheat, cotton, and corn at higher prices, the budget isn't balancing out.
We're seeing shortages on everything. Shortages on gas, food shortages, water shortages. California's got, I don't even want to limit it to California. There's a massive drought going on in California right now. If they're out of water and you got a farm, that's a problem, all right? We're going to see $12 for a gallon of milk before we know it.
Remember those long lines you see in television? People lining up all kinds of vehicles just to get a box of food in their trunk. How could we forget? People were hurting. And what does the MAGA crowd want to do? Forget it. Forget it. God, this is the United States of America. The idea that people would have to wait in line an hour and a half to get a box of food in their trunk. It's unbelievable.
Okay, Hans, here's what's going on. Let's break it down for the viewer. We've got a blockbuster criminal trial starting on Monday in Hillary's Trump Russia. It's special counsel Durham. He's alleging Hillary campaign lawyer Michael Sussman lied to the FBI, covering up that he was working for the Hillary campaign. So the judge is ruling that Hillary's anti-Trump opposition research firm, that's Fusion GPS, they got to turn over to the Durham probe 22 emails. The Hillary team is trying to block this. Could this spell out a conspiracy charge for the Durham team?
Well, yeah, it's very interesting that these emails are going to get turned over to Durham, and why does the Clinton campaign not want them released? What's in them? Is it more evidence of their involvement in all of this? Look, we've already seen from emails and other things that the Durham investigation has put out that top officials, including the manager of the campaign, knew all about this hoax, this false claim of Trump Russia collusion, and in fact helped with the media campaign to get the media interested in reporting on this.
So back in April of 2019, a man dropped off an apparently water-damaged MacBook Pro at a Delaware computer repair shop outside Wilmington. A year later, the New York Post reported on the contents of that laptop, but of course, you know the rest of the story. Big Tech censored it because we were on the eve of a presidential election and it would hurt their candidate, whose campaign they were funding, Joe Biden. And so they denounced it, including former heads of the intel agencies, as Russian disinformation. Watch.
Disinformation that he knows to be fabricated and supplied by a foreign intelligence service. And despite the warning, he's still doing it.
You have said this entire thing is so obviously a Russian plot.
It's sort of a crazy quilt at this point, which has all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. That said, it wasn't for lack of trying.
Rudy basically functioning as a Russian asset by pushing Russian disinformation.
CNN reported on Friday that U.S. authorities are seeing if those emails we just talked about are connected to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
Prediction, the Russia hysteria will not age well. We're going to look at this tape in about 10 years and think, what country was that? And it's kind of starting to happen already. They're now admitting, everyone's admitting, that the laptop was not Russian disinformation. It's real. It was Hunter Biden's. The problem is that they smeared the repair shop owner, who had nothing to do with any of this, as a tool of Putin. Now, that man is taking action. His name is John Paul Mac Isaac. He's the former owner of the Mac Shop computer repair store, and he joins us tonight to explain. Thanks so much for coming on, Mr. Mac Isaac. Appreciate it. So they called you a tool of Putin. We know how that feels. What are you doing about it?
Well, I'm taking them to court. It's the collusion that took place in mid-October of 2020 just astonished me when it happened, and
yes,
I couldn't believe it. It was just a unilateral decision to all call this Russian disinformation without even deciding if there was going to be any collateral damage, which there was.
And you were that, I mean, I think the country was hurt. Biden got elected in a demonstrably unfair election, but your life was totally overturned. Tell us what happened to you.
Well, initially, people just assumed that I was a hacker or a thief, mainly because of Twitter labeling the material from the laptop being hacked and then banning the subject matter completely. But after 51 intelligence pillars of the intelligence community decided to call me a Russian disinformation campaign, and Adam Schiff went on CNN to follow that up to express those concerns with the rest of the nation. It was pretty much from that point on I was labeled a stooge of Putin, and Putin thanks me for his service.
So you don't have your store anymore?
No, I had to get out of town before the election. I had to close the shop and leave Delaware.
Yeah. Have you gotten a call of apology from Adam Schiff?
No, I don't expect to right now either.
I hope you see these creeps into bankruptcy. I really mean that. John Paul Mac Isaac, an innocent bystander trying to do the right thing. A tool of Putin. Thank you for coming on tonight. I appreciate it.
The church in America is going to suffer so terribly. And we laugh now, but they will come after us. They will come after our children. They will close the net around us while we are playing soccer mom and soccer dad, while we are arguing over so many little things and mesmerized by so many trinkets. The net even now is closing around you and your children and your grandchildren, and it does not cause you to fear. You will be isolated from society, as has already happened. Anyone who tries to run for office who actually believes the Bible will be considered a lunatic until finally we are silenced. We will be called things that we're not and persecuted not for being followers of Christ, but for being radical fundamentalists who do not know the true way of Christ, which of course is love and tolerance. You'll go down as the greatest bigots and haters of mankind in history. They've already come after your children, and for most of you, they got them. They got them through the public schools and indoctrination, and the university and indoctrination, and then you wonder why your children come out not serving the Lord. It's because you fed them right into the devil's mouth. So little by little, the net is closing around, and then it's not little by little. Look how fast things are going downhill just in a matter of weeks. Matter of weeks. But at the same time, know this. Persecution is always meant for evil, but God always means it for good. And is it not better to suffer in this life, to have an extra weight of glory in heaven? You must settle this in your mind. This is the one thing I want to say over and over. Do not believe. Down through history, you have a wrong idea of martyrdom and persecution. You think that these men were persecuted and martyred for their sincere faith in Jesus Christ. That was the real reason, but no one heard that publicly. They were martyred, and they were persecuted as enemies of the state, as child molesters, as bigots, as narrow-minded, stupid people who had fallen for a ruse and can contribute nothing to society. Your suffering will not be noble. So your mind must be filled with the Word of God when all people persecute you and turn on you. And the Spirit of God in common grace pulls back, and you see even your children and your grandchildren tossing in the lot that you should die. This is no game. You want revival and awakening, but know this. For the most part, great awakenings have come only preceding great national catastrophes or the persecution of the church. I believe God is bringing a great awakening, but I believe that He is raising up young men who are strong in trust in the providence of God to be able to wade through the hell that's going to break loose on us. And it will be on us before we even recognize it.